everyone, and welcome back. As always, I'm your girl, Candy Washington. So, before we dive into today's episode, which is really talking all things Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, we just had season 5, episode 12, Mazel Meredith, and we'll also be talking about the seating chart for the upcoming reunion. Are we happy with it? Are we not? Angie's activated. Bronwyn is two-faced and is exposed as being a liar. Mary comes out being very vulnerable with her son and more. So before we dive in, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. So with that, let's dive right on in. So if you guys are watching live, be sure to say hi in the chat box, comment where you're watching from, who's your favorite. And if you're watching on the replay, also comment in the comment section. I want to hear your thoughts, whether you agree or disagree, who's your favorite snowflake, and more. Okay, so let's talk about the seating chart. So we have, obviously, Mr. Andy Cohen. Hi, Tay-Tay. How are you, sweetheart? So, of course, we have Mr. Andy Cohen in the middle, and then we have the first two seats are Angie and Lisa. I mean, of course, we're going to have Lisa Barlow because basically everybody had her name in their mouth this season and tried to either take down Lisa or befriend her. So she was the it girl of the season, Avi. Then we have Mary. And I think the reason why we have Mary after Angie is because she opened up about her son and his struggles and how that resonated with everyone so much. So I think that really boosted up Mary's position in the group because if for not that, I'm not sure she would be so far up. Yes, we had a new Mary this season, but I don't think we had enough of going on with Mary without what happened with her son, which again is so, amazing to share all that and probably really helped a lot of people. Now, let's talk about Angie being across from Lisa Barlow. You guys know, and you don't have to agree, I don't like Angie. I think she's really mean. I think she's mean. I think she's nasty and so rude. But she's one of those types of people that she plays like she's like, oh, I'm like a doormat, I'm really codependent, I'm a people pleaser, I just shut down. She plays like she's that person, but I think underneath that, she's very resentful and spiteful and bitter and mean. Look what she did to Lisa. She turned on Lisa like a frick on a dime with Whitney, talking about Lisa like a dog and her parenting skills and everything else, but yet she can't take it. She's also the type of person that she can say whatever she wants to say about you, and then you say one thing about her and you're the most horrible person in the world. How dare you say something about her? I'm not an Angie fan. I think she's a low-key sniper from the side. And I think she's actually like really mean and very nasty. Like the stuff she says isn't nice. That's just how I feel. But of course, I want to know what you guys think about that. Okay, now what do you guys think about Heather now being behind Lisa? Do we think Heather has earned that spot? But don't forget, there's still a bunch of episodes left of this season. So maybe this chart is indicative of what happens on the trip. Where are they going to, like Puerto Vallarta or Puerto Rico? I forgot where they're going, but they're going on their cast trip. It's Lisa Barlow's girls' trip. So maybe a lot happens on the trip that is informing this chart, So there's that. So, because I'm wondering, like, why would they put Heather above Meredith? But then again, Meredith doesn't get a lot of screen time. She really doesn't. Puerto Vallarta, thank you so much. She doesn't get a lot of screen time. Now, Bronwyn over here being after Mary, to be honest with you, other than Mary talking about her son, I would think that Bronwyn, and I don't like Bronwyn, I think that Bronwyn should go above Mary only because as a first time snowflake, even though I don't rock with her like that, Bronwyn has been in all of the mess. She was beefing hard with Heather. She was beefing hard with Lisa. She was up Whitney's butt, and now she's beefing with Whitney because she flipped on her. She was up Angie's butt, but now she's beefing with Angie because she flipped on her. She has her so nasty, so rude, so cold, so mean husband, Mr. Todd. So she hosted a girls' trip to Palm Springs. So Bronwyn has been in the mess. She's been in the mess. So I'm shocked that she is coming after Mary. But again, I think the stuff with Mary's son really gave her that boost up. Okay. Now, Whitney, you played yourself. You are dead last. You are behind the newbie. You are dead last because you made your entire storyline, your entire season about trying to expose Lisa Barlow as the person behind, people finding out that you are selling not counterfeit jewelry, but you're selling, you know, Alibaba, AliExpress, $1 a pair jewelry, and then you're slapping your logo on it, and then you're charging people 40, 50, 60, 70, $100 for jewelry that turns their skin green. I'll say alleged because we know Whitney is psycho and unhinged, and I don't want her coming after me. And it turned out that your little buddy up in Adam flipped on you on a dime because he was like, look, I'm not about to be sued by Lisa Barlow. And the block is hot. I was gonna have your back and come on your show and say what you wanted to say, but the moment the block got hot, Adam flipped on you and was like, it was never Lisa Barlow. I never told you it was Lisa Barlow. That all that in the car, that was just editing. It was Bravo. It wasn't me. I never said it. He was like, it wasn't me. Okay. And so you got what you got. Also, I think with what's going to happen with their trip, it's going to be revealed how Whitney reached out to Monica for information, probably on Lisa, probably information on Heather too, information on Meredith and everybody else. And it's like, how dare you reach out to Monica, the group's sworn enemy, to try to take down another housewife. Like, that is so dirty and nasty, but are we surprised? Are we shocked? Like, that's just who Whitney is. She's nasty and she's dirty and she's down in the gutter. And that's why she's at the bottom of the barrel, because not only do I think the fans are tired of Whitney, but clearly production is tired of her too, and that's why they put her at the bottom. You know what I mean? And as they say, when you're on the bottom, you're kind of fighting for your spot. Sorry, I'm just drinking a little bit of tea. Because that means that you are at the bottom of the totem pole, and then we have Britney, and I'm surprised. Is Britney even a full-time snowflake holder? Like, I don't think so. No, she's not even a full-time snowflake holder. But, Britney's on the chart right after Meredith. And, like Britney, Britney, to me, it's not that I don't like Britney. She's like, whatever. She's kind of a joke, to be honest with you. The whole thing with the Osmond cousin was absolutely ridiculous. You are a full-grown woman out here getting played like a fool. You, on camera, publicly said out of your mouth that you prioritized a man over your own children. Like, it doesn't get dumber than that. It doesn't get more pathetic than that you would have the audacity to sit up here. And this is the thing, because let me take that back real quick. Well, no, I'm not going to take it back because I stand by it. But let me preface it with this. It would be one thing if Britney said, I was at a low point in my life and I was really struggling and I made very bad decisions and I chose a man over my children. However, I deeply regret it. And now I am doing everything in my power to make it right with my kids. That would have been one thing. That would have been some grown woman stuff. And I would support that because we're human beings, and especially as women. I'm not a mother, but just as women and mothers in particular, the bar is so high. You're expected not to be human. You're expected to sacrifice your life, your happiness, everything that makes you a woman, your sexuality, everything for your kids. And I don't think that's right. That's wrong. You're not supposed to sacrifice your humanity and your womanhood for your children. Number one, you're doing your children a disservice. And number two, your life has meaning beyond just your kids. Your life is meaningful too. Does that mean that your daughter's life has no meaning once she becomes a woman and it's only for children? No. You would want your children to have full lives, so you should have a full life too. However, with that being said, not to get too much on a tangent, I think it's very dangerous how Britney was like, yeah, like I still want to be happy and I want to date and blah, 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 blah. Those are two different things. When you choose to date toxic men, have unhealthy relationships at the detriment of your children, then you're an awful person. Then you're an awful mother. But just because you are a woman who happens to be a mother and you still have a full-fledged life of your own, but not to the detriment of your children. Those are two different things. And that's why I don't like Britney. And that's why I don't rock with her. However, when it comes to her beef with Bronwyn, I'm team Britney because Bronwyn, and this is so funny, right? Because we remember how we were saying how Bronwyn is weird and she has a weird energy and a weird vibe, and she kind of talks like she's in a musical and she's about to fly away and she's doing a play and she's like, you guys, this is my new thing and blah 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 blah. And she gave very like theater kid energy. Remember we were saying how she gives like weird theater kid energy? Not that theater kids are weird, but you know what I mean. Tell me why in the after show, because you know how Bronwyn threw Britney under the bus this episode. I'll explain. I'll give that first, and then I'll talk about what happened on the after show. So, in this episode, we know Meredith has her bat mitzvah, which is really cool and great. And then we have Bronwyn, who is now pissed at Whitney and pissed at Angie. She's pissed at Whitney because Whitney, the episode before, hosted the event with Heather. And this is the thing, Bronwyn, that you got to learn real quick. Whitney never liked you. She used you because you were so quick and you were so willing to stab Lisa Barlow in the back. She didn't like you. She used you. She talked about Heather like a dog to you. Oh, she was saying, oh, Heather's fake. Heather wants to be Lisa's friend so much that she's a bad friend to me. She's a bad friend to Angie, blah, 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 blah. That you took the bait. You actually believed that Whitney would take your side because that's what gave you so much bravado to beef with Heather. Because you and Whitney and Angie were talking about Heather and talking about Lisa like a dog. And so you actually thought these chicks liked you and had your back. No, they used you to go against other chicks they didn't like. So when Whitney and Heather got back together, bad weather. Sorry, I had to go there. And through the event, you lost your mind. And so you're like, well, I'm going to spill the tea. Whitney was talking about you, Heather, blah, blah, blah. And also, this is the gag, Bronwyn. Heather knows exactly what Whitney was saying about her. And Heather doesn't care. She knows who Whitney is. She knows Whitney is two-faced as hell. She knows Whitney is jealous of Lisa. She knows Whitney is jealous of her friendship with her. She knows that. She doesn't care. And at the end of the day, she likes you less than she likes Whitney. So she would, even if she did care, she wouldn't care because she would not turn on Whitney based on your word, Bronwyn, because you've been beefing with her this entire season. And you chose not to invite Heather. Whether you like Heather or not, she is a staple of the show. She is. Whether you like her or not, you got to admit that Heather is a staple of the show. She is. And so you decided not to invite OG Heather on the trip like you had it like that. And then you think that just because you expose Whitney talking crap about her, she's going to flip on Whitney and take your side. You bumped your head all three types of ways to Sunday, sweetheart. And then with Angie, now you're mad at Angie because now Angie and Lisa made up and made friends. You thought you had, an ally in Angie. Both of you are two friends of Lisa who the entire time was low-key jealous of her. So the moment you had an opportunity to take Lisa down a peg or two, you took it. And now you're pissed at Angie because you thought she hated Lisa just like you did. But now she's back buzzies with friends. And that's why Angie told you to shut the F up about 25 times because you were spilling how much crap they were talking about them. Now, this is a thing, Bronwyn. You can say all you want. Oh, I just sort of listened and just said, oh, well, I don't know. No. If you are my friend and you are in the company of people who talk so poorly about me over and over and over again, and you chime in here and there, you are just as guilty as they are. Just as guilty. And that's why she got so butthurt when Angie went back to Lisa and Whitney went back to Heather, the way they always were going to be, and you were left out to dry. Also, with that, okay, so to say all that, now let's get back to the episode, right? So then, when Brittany and Angie are having their little beef, right? Because at Mary's dinner, the episode before, when Angie was like, "Oh, Brittany, like you're doing three different guys," or wherever they said that, whatever event that was, you're doing three different guys and blah, 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 which was really, again, that's why I don't rock with Angie. That's a really nasty, rude thing to say. Like slut shaming somebody. Forget the whole hair monologue she did. Oh, you have, high body count. Like, shut up, Angie. But to shame somebody for who they're dating and who they're sleeping with, and to be honest with you, like when Brittany was like, "Is that what you and Sean do?" I was like, "Go, Brittany, go. You tell her." Because if you're gonna talk about how many men that Brittany is allegedly sleeping with, then turnabout is fair play. You can't be all up in arms and be all upset when then she then says, "Well, how many men are you and your husband sleeping with then?" You can't be up in arms about that. You can't play victim. You can't have it both ways. You can't try and slut shame her and demean her about her own sexuality and what she chooses to do or not to do with her own body, and then act like you and your husband are off limits. You're not. You never should have came at her like that if you couldn't take it. You know what I mean? And so it was that whole thing. And Brittany had confided in Mealy, I think her name is, and in Bronwyn. And they're like, "I can't believe we're friends, blah, 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 blah. I hope we're friends for like a minute. Da, 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 da." And then the moment Bronwyn had the opportunity to turn, and this is why Heather was spot on about Bronwyn. She was like, "She's two-faced. I don't trust her, and she's fake and she's phony." The moment she had the opportunity, what did she do? She ran to Angie, and when Angie and Brittany were having their little beef at the bat mitzvah, and was like, "Oh," and she whispers to her, she goes, "Brittany said, that you are calling her a slut because you're a slut, and what happens with you and your husband?" Literally within the same hour, you flipped on this chick. And then in the confessional, she was laughing about it. Like, "Well, she said she wanted to be friends for a hot minute. I gave her 5." And it's like, Bronwyn, this is why Lisa couldn't actually say to you, "I don't think you're two-faced." This is a literal example of why Heather said the same thing about you, that you're not to be trusted. You say one thing to my face, and then the moment I'm out, you say another thing. So you're trying to act like everybody's coming at you, Bronwyn, when they're right. You are two-faced as hell. You are. And then going back to how we were saying how she has that weird like theater kid energy. This is I mean, I scare myself sometimes. I have like goosebumps. So I was watching the after show, and Lisa and Brittany were talking about how Bronwyn had turned on her. And they brought up and then Lisa brought up the fact, or either Brittany brought up the fact, how she knew Bronwyn didn't like Brittany because Bronwyn was saying, "Oh, Brittany's lying about being on Broadway." And that she produces Broadway shows. And then Brittany was like, "Well, she's lying because I've had conversations with her off camera where she told me she knew I was on Broadway." And you know me, I'm messy, nosy boots. Brittany is the one who was telling the truth. Brittany was on a national Broadway tour for Miss Saigon. So she was on Broadway. She was. So that explains why Bronwyn was so eager and quick to flip on Brittany when Brittany had done nothing to Bronwyn, because she was jealous that she was on Broadway. Like, how cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs is this Bronwyn chick, where because Brittany was on Broadway like 20 years ago, like literally like 2 decades ago, she was hating on her that hard. And she was like, well, she should come and, audition for me because I actually produce Broadway shows. It's like, you are that weird theater kid. Like, I was just saying that's the energy you have, but like, it turns out you really are. Like, you're jealous. She was like, I can't sing or dance, but, I can tell you she's exaggerating. Britney wasn't exaggerating because I Googled it and you can see clips of her from Broadway. I saw them. So Bronwyn was just lying the entire time, which was so, so, so crazy. Bronwyn's a weirdo. But there's that. I love seeing more of Meredith on this episode. It was basically like her dedicated episode. Who knew that she had 3 children? I guess she has her older son who's very private. He lives in New York, so he doesn't want to be on the show. I thought that was really cool to see him and like all of that. I thought it was really cool to see her heritage and her religion and being bat mitzvah. I thought that was really cool. Mary showing up late. I don't know what it is, but I didn't think that was funny. I thought that was really rude and disrespectful, only because it was a religious ceremony. If it was just like a brunch or like a party, that's okay. But I loved how Meredith like fake cried long enough so for Mary to get seated so she could start her speech without being overshadowed or disrupted. I was like, you're the MVP for that. Now, how do you guys feel about Meredith throwing Angie out of her bat mitzvah? I personally loved it. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I loved it. Because again, I think Angie and her weasel husband, they're one of the same. They say really nasty things about people. They throw a lot of digs. And then the moment you say one thing back to them, they play victim. Oh my God, I can't believe you said this. Oh my God, I can't believe you did that. And her husband did talk about Meredith's son, Brooks. Because remember a couple episodes ago when he was like, booyah, biatch, and he had the whole thing and on the podcast? He did, because at first Sean or Shane, whatever his name is, lied and was like, I don't know what you're talking about. What? I didn't say anything about your kid. And then when Meredith's husband Seth got the receipts out, all of a sudden he was quoting the podcast and being like, oh, it was like the word leverage, or it was some, and that might not be the specific word. It was like you leverage your son or something like that. But he knew the exact terminology. And then all of a sudden he was quoting from the podcast. So it was like you didn't know what he was talking about. But then when he showed the proof, you were quoting from it. You did. And like, I'm sorry, dude, but like, don't bring someone's child into it and then play victim because they're calling you out for it. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. If somebody said something about Electra, I'm pretty sure Angie and her husband would lose their minds. But you want to talk about Brooks and his sexuality? And I get he is quote unquote an adult, but like we always said, kids are off limits. He may not be a child, but he's her child. And if somebody says something about their daughter, they would lose it too. And that's really what my issue is with Angie and her husband. They're very, very hypocritical. They play victim. They play like, oh, we're so cool and nice, and and we're just over here in our little corner. But when you really listen to them and watch how they move, they're nasty and they're rude. And I don't know. That's just me. Now, when it comes to, let's see here, Whitney to me is a non-factor. She basically wasn't even in this episode. So whatever, Whit, you're a non-factor. Bronwyn, we know, has been exposed to be the liar and weirdo that she is. Mary, okay, I'm going to touch on 2 things with Mary. The first thing I'm going to touch on is her beef with Meredith. I think the only reason why Mary is beefing with Meredith is because she's trying to prove her allegiance to Angie. Because as we know, Angie and Meredith beef all the time. I think it's kind of wrong of Mary and very shady of her, because nobody has ever had Mary's back other than Meredith. when Mary was very much not iced out of the group, but just not a part of the group, Meredith was there for her. They had a friendship. And then all of a sudden, you want to, go against Meredith and stuff. Why? Because now you're a new BFF Angie? Like, I think that if Angie didn't beef with Meredith, Mary would not treat Meredith the way she does. And I don't like that. Don't get brand new on me as a friend just because now you're buddy buddy with another chick who doesn't like me. That to me is some fake stuff. So when it comes to Mary versus Meredith, I'm definitely team Meredith. The other thing I'll say about Mary is I'm really happy that not happy, but you know what I mean. I think it's really good that her and her son had that conversation on camera. The critic in me is like, would she have had that conversation and been so honest if her son hadn't been arrested and going through the legal stuff? Because, and this is no shade to Mary, and this is not a judgment to her. This is not even a criticism to her or her son, because housewives and reality stars and celebrities, they do this all the time. The moment they get into some type of trouble, all of a sudden they want to do a paparazzi photo shoot. All of a sudden they want to do, they want to come clean and have heart to hearts. So I am by no means criticizing Mary and her son for this, because people do this all the time. I just thought, I wonder if we would be seeing this if it were for not his legal troubles and they're trying to create sympathy and a narrative around that. And I'm not judging that, because celebrities and reality stars do it all the time. So I'm not judging that. Whether that is true or not, I think it's good that they had that conversation, because that could save someone's life. Someone who might be struggling with substance, someone who might be struggling with, no longer wanting to be here, a parent struggling with a child. So regardless of the intentionality behind it, I think it's good that they had that conversation, because it could save someone. And it seemed very real, and it did seem very raw. So, and just prayers out to her son, to her sons. And it seemed like to me, I don't know why I think this, but I feel like her son's wife, or whoever that girl is, turned him out. Like, I feel like she's the one that got him on all the stuff. I feel like she really turned him out. And because even on the Watch What Happens Live, they were talking about how the son went to rehab and he did a really good job and he completed his program. And Mary was like, well, yeah, and his wife is like still in the program, like she's still in rehab. I don't know why I felt that. And again, you can't ever blame anybody else for your addiction or your abuse. If you get addicted to something, it's your responsibility to get off of it. We can't ever blame other people for the decisions that we make, but there is something to be said about who influenced you to get to that point. And I don't know why, but I always thought it was that girl that got him hooked on stuff. I don't know why. Again, that's just what I thought in my head. It is what it is. So let's see. Heather was cute, in this episode. She didn't do too much. She didn't do too little. She was a beat. She was a bop. It was what it was. Again, I loved Meredith. Britney, I agree with Lisa. You could use a keratin, treatment on your hair, but that's okay, girl. And I'm kind of neutral on Britney, like I was saying earlier. The whole thing with the Osmond is corny to me. The parenting stuff was corny to me, but I don't think she deserves all the smoke she gets from like Bronwyn and Angie. Like, why are you mad at her? Why are you calling this woman a slut? Why are you saying she's doing 3 different men? Like, why? Like, what did Britney do to these women? Like, Britney's annoying because she's talking about this guy who's playing her for a fool, but I don't think that equates to being that mean to her. You can kind of clown her for it, but I don't get the meanness behind it, other than Bronwyn being jealous that she was on Broadway, because Bronwyn's a weirdo. Oh, and did you guys see? Listen. And did you guys see how so Bronwyn and her husband are being sued? Allegedly, their dogs, as we know, poop all over the place. But anyway, her dogs allegedly like bit and attacked some guy, either like a postal worker or like a messenger guy or something like that. And so he's suing them for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think the incident happened, I want to say in like 2016 or something. And then it came out in the lawsuit how Bronwyn and Todd were basically living separate lives. Like they would live in different states, they would live in different houses for years. Sort of how now she talks about how he travels like 5 days out of the week and everything. And then on the after show, Angie was saying how her and her husband put their house on the market and they wanted to show it to Todd. And basically, how like Todd was going to buy, like if he bought their house, he would buy it for him. And then Bronwyn could stay at their house down the street. Like trouble in paradise. And then we've seen like the previews how Bronwyn's like, you want to talk about my husband? Then let's talk about like what I've really gone through with him. And all the girls are like, what? What have you really gone through with him? So I mean, yikes. And I say that like I always wonder, like, even with like Meredith and Seth, although I think Meredith and Seth at this point it's more of an arrangement slash agreement where it's just like we're married, we have kids, we have our businesses, and we're best friends. It's just easier to stay married, but like you do you and I'll do me. Because I always squint at marriages or long-term relationships where one partner is always gone, always traveling. Like it's just human nature, there's of course there's always the exception to the rule, but I think more often than not something's up. If your partner is gone for 5 days out of the week or weeks on end or months on end, traveling, working, come on. That's not, you know what I mean? And so in the lawsuit, it came out that like she was living in one house, he was living in another. Sometimes they live in like different states. Because remember, he works in New York and Tokyo and all over the place. Also, it came out on this, and then this was on the after show. It came out how Angie was saying how Todd doesn't like the remodel of their Utah house. And remember how I was saying it's very, very weird how they have all of this money and all of this privilege and all of this access, but they haven't furnished their house. And they also let the dogs poop everywhere. I would be pissed if I was Todd too. If I have millions and millions of dollars, why is my house not furnished? Why is there dog crap everywhere? I would be pissed too. But also, Todd, you could hire a cleaner, you could hire an interior designer, you could get a pooper scooper. But to me, that's more about if you have all this money and your house is full of dog poop and unfurnished, that to me is more of a mental thing, an emotional thing. Something isn't right there. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not saying they don't have money and they're frauds. I'm not saying that. Because I don't know. Nothing like that has come out about them. They allegedly have all this money in multiple homes and private jets and all of that stuff. So if your money isn't funny, why don't you have furniture and why is your house full of dog crap? So if it's not about the funny money, it has to be mental, emotional. And so they were saying how like Todd would buy the house for him and leave Bronwyn in the other. Like, it just seems like it's a hot mess. And then also the conversation how Todd is like, Gwen is not going to see her grandparents. They're horrible people, not going to happen, blah, blah, blah. Some people were like, oh, he's so protective. I was like, no, he's so controlling. That to me is control, not protection. If the biological grandparents and if Gwen wants a relationship with them, what's the problem? It doesn't seem like these people are abusive. They're good friends with Lisa Barlow. Seems like 20 years ago, they had a very poor lapse in judgment, which unfortunately a lot of people have a lot of bad social conditioning where there's shame around a woman getting pregnant out of wedlock, especially within their Mormon community, and they had a really bad reaction to it. I totally get that, and I'm not negating how Gwen must have felt and how Bronwyn must have felt. I'm not negating that by any means or minimizing that traumatic experience, feeling like you're being shunned and not accepted because you got pregnant while not being married. I get that. However, Gwen is now 17, 18 years old. Her father has passed away. He died. And people change, people grow, people evolve. So are you just going to never just if they are like, you know what, we were wrong and we're sorry, we want to make up for it, we want you in our lives, our son is dead and you are his daughter and we want a relationship with you, who the hell is Todd to say no to that? The man who isn't even there? You say you're a father figure, but according to the legal documents, you and Bronwyn weren't even living in the same house or state for years during your 8-year marriage. So how present were you for her daughter? You see what I'm saying? So I just think there's just a lot going on that's not making sense. Like the math isn't mathing, things aren't coming together. I think more things are going to come out about it. And the thing with Bronwyn is I think I would like her more if she wasn't so I don't know what the word is. Weird and insecure, but acts like she's confident and sassy. Like those are the worst type of people. Like the worst. But that's just sort of how I feel about everything. And that's kind of what happened. Now, I will tell you this. I'm excited about the upcoming episodes of the season. I think they're going to be juicy. I think they're going to be good. I'm ready to see the nitty-gritty of what happens with Whitney and Heather and the Monica of it all. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with Bronwyn and talk and spilling the tea about her relationship with Todd, the whole like, oh, let me tell you what I really go through with him. Also, who put the recording device in Meredith's room? Because remember, she gets really pissed off. And she's like, I think they're like on a Sprinter van or something. And she's like, you record your friends. I think she was talking to Angie. And now that makes sense, given the fact that Angie was kicked out of her bat mitzvah, that Angie would go that low to put a recording device in Meredith's bedroom. Because when I first saw that, I was like, why would somebody like what? Like I know Angie and Meredith beef, but like it's not that deep anymore, is it? But I think Angie now will be out for blood. And that might also be why she's sitting across from Lisa. Not that she did it to Lisa, but because but being so close to Andy, maybe she did do that. Now, what do you guys think about that? If it turns out that Angie put a recording device in Meredith's room, isn't that kind of horrible and awful and a breach of privacy? I don't know, but we know something really big goes down because they break the fourth wall. And the producers are like, do you think you can come back from this? And they're all like, there's no coming back from this, blah, 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 blah. So they do break the fourth wall. We know that happens. And we know everybody is like really upset. I don't know if it's about the Angie recording device with Meredith, if it's about the Whitney and the Monica Garcia of it all. Who knows? But I think it's going to be really good. And I think it's going to be really, really, really juicy. Tay Tay says, I think Britney is the one who recorded Meredith. Ooh, if it's Britney, that's even worse. Because why would Britney record Meredith when Meredith had her back at the bat mitzvah and kicked out Angie because she was basically like, girl, you look like you sleep with a lot of men, your hair is trash, and you're doing Tom, Dick, and Harry. So wow. Wow. Yeah, and Barbara says it's against the law. So we'll see. We'll see. So that's kind of how I feel about this season so far. Last night's episode, also with the seating chart. What do you think about the seating chart? Do you think this is about right? Who would you replace? Who would you move around? And are you like me, and are you super excited for the upcoming the rest of the season? I think it's going to be really good. So stick around, my candy canes. I will drop the link in case anybody wants to come up, and then I will take your candy cane questions and comments. But before I do that, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Yay! All right, you guys, I'll drop the link in case anybody wants to come up, but as always, absolutely no pressure. Only come up if you want to. All right. Hey, Tay Tay says first one in. Hey, sweetheart. Says Lisa Barlow finally gets the first seat. Yes, I think she had the first seat either season 2 or season 3. But you guys know me. I'm a Barlow stan, so whenever she gets the first seat, I love it. Hey, Haley says a lot of people are trying to make Lisa look like the villain. But if you guys remember, Lisa started to be more gangsta. She didn't have much of a strong character in the past seasons. Ooh. See, I agree that they are trying to make Lisa the villain. Like Whitney even said it. That's how like dumb she is. When she was on Nick Vile's podcast, she goes, Lisa's the villain. Lisa's always been the villain, in her weird healing journey voice. And it's like, is Lisa the villain if you say she's the villain? Like, it's a little confusing, babe. Like, what? I agree. And then she sounds more like Jersey now. Like, I didn't do that to you. Be quiet about that. She kind of gives me like Jen vibes from Jersey. Travis said Lisa had first seat season 2. Okay. Tay says it's the Lisa Barlow show, whether we like it or not. 100%. Like, literally think about it. Each person has had either trying to be Lisa's best friend, which would be like Heather and Meredith and Britney, or trying to like actively take Lisa down. Angie, Bronwyn, Whitney. And then Mary likes to beef with Lisa, but Mary likes to beef with everybody, to be honest with you. And the only reason why I think she doesn't beef with Angie is because I don't think Mary takes Angie seriously. You know what I mean? Hey, Travis says Porta Varta. Yes. Keep Mary there. Yes. Hey, Holly says my favorite candy. Hello, how are you? I'm good. How are you, sweetheart? Haley says, if you guys notice, Angie's being very nice with Mary. She's being very careful of what she says because she knows that Mary is not someone to play with. Exactly. That's why I was saying, like, Mary doesn't see Angie as a threat because, and also, like, what I was saying about Angie likes to play like, oh, I'm like this little doormat and you just walk all over me and blah, blah, blah. No, she's in her confessional being mean as hell. She's being mean as hell to people's faces. No. And I agree. She tiptoes around Mary because she doesn't want that smoke. Holly says, hello, everyone. Hello, how are y'all? We're good, sweetheart. Tay says, Bronwyn didn't know when to shut up. Bronwyn. Exactly. Whitney being last made my day. She knows she's on her way out. I agree. Like, to be honest with you, I was shocked they put her dead last. Not because I don't think she deserves to be dead last, but I was just shocked that they did it. Like, they actually like put her dead last. You know what I mean? Travis says Angie and Mary versus Lisa and Heather tag teaming each other. LOL. Yes. Yes. Very good observation because Mary does like to go after Heather. That is very true. Holly says Mary and Matt are the only ones I like this season. Bloop. Haley says Angie doesn't seem to be her true self when she is around Mary. If you watched the after show, you saw when Mary told Angie that what she has to do is forgive Meredith. We saw clearly that she didn't want to. I agree. Angie knows to bow down and kiss the ring of Mary. Tay says, and people still want Monica to come back. LOL. Listen, I saw that weirdo wannabe Broadway Bronwyn said that she wanted Monica Garcia to come back. She was like, oh, there's 3 sides to every story. I've heard Monica's, I've heard the ladies, I'm sure there's a third, they all said they felt unsafe with her, but, I'm sure they're being messy and the DM. Like, Bronwyn, just shut up, sweetheart. Like, please, how dare you be like you want Monica back when you weren't even in the mix when Monica was being weird and crazy and psycho and a stalker person, single white female, driving by people's houses, taking video footage of their security footage, making a troll account. Like, this is the thing with Monica. It would be one thing if Monica was herself, like if she was like up and Adam, and she was like, this is who I am, and I'm commenting and talking about the housewives, and then she tries out and she gets cast for the show. That's fine. But you literally created an anonymous troll account, and then you stalked these women. Then you infiltrated yourself into Jen Shah's actual life. You were around this woman's children in her home, took security footage, doing drive-bys, and then posting it on the internet. That's cuckoo for Cocoa Puff psycho. And then you get yourself cast on the show without disclosing that you are this troll account talking about these women. That is crazy. That is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs crazy. Ugh. Travis says, I love Whitney. She brings chaos. Haley says to forgive, but she was forced to say yes. She behaves like a doormat when she is around Mary. For this reason, I do not believe that friendship will last. Exactly. Holly said, Candy, exactly. Thank you, sweetheart. Tate says, did you hear that Britney was dating 10 guys? Angie said she was doing 3 guys. But this is the thing. Just because you're dating someone doesn't mean you're sleeping with someone. And also, if you are sleeping with them, who cares? Who is Angie, the moral police? Get the hell out of here. I'm with Britney on this one. Don't worry about what I'm doing. Worry about what you and your husband are doing. Let's talk about the husbands. And obviously, this has nothing to do, this is no disrespect or shade to any sexuality or anything like that. I don't mean it that way. I mean it in the sense of everybody can get it, whether you're a guy, girl, gay, straight, trans. In my eyes, we're all equal. So if you're going to slut shame someone, make sure your side of the street is clean. Hey, Tay, you want to share? Tay? I don't think we can hear you. Can you guys hear him? I can't hear you. Wait, let me see. Can you guys hear him? No, yeah, we can't hear you, Tay. Oh, maybe now? Oh, now we can. Okay, go ahead.
Hey, Candy. Yeah.
Hey, sweetheart.
So overall, I like this episode. This episode continues to give. Bronwyn talk too much. When the whole Bronwyn and Angie stuff, I'm Team Angie, and I agree with her. Angie tried to apologize to Bronwyn, but Bronwyn wasn't feeling it from her, and I saw from her right from the jump, the moment when she was being two-faced with Heather and Lisa. Whitney, I'm surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also surprised that she's on the last. I think she is on her way out. I won't be surprised because Whitney has been going after Lisa. She had Up and Adam in her pocket. She had Bronwyn in her pocket. Karma's doing the thing now. Though I'm not a fan of Bronwyn though, so yeah. And
Yeah.
Angie shaming Britney, like, that was too much. And I'm not a Britney fan, but I was on her side though. I felt bad for Britney though.
I felt bad for Britney too.
Yeah. And Meredith and I'm glad that Meredith kicked out Angie though. Like, I don't know why.
Me too. It was a long time coming.
I don't know why, people are vilifying Meredith this season about the whole book situation and now the whole kicking her out thing. Like, people are standing Angie because she got activated. Look, Angie got activated against Whitney. No. I'm sorry, Bronwyn. I'll give it that. I'll give her a point. She went against Bronwyn and she kept it cool. So I'll give her 1 point. What she lost me was Whitney.
1 point.
I'm glad Lisa and Angie are friends for now. But looking at the next episode, I think that Angie is going to get back into it with Lisa, unfortunately. And did you see the premiere of Salt Lake City?
No, I'm gonna watch it tonight. Like when I'm like winding down, I'm gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, Lisa Barlow was there.
Yeah, she's gonna be in a couple episodes because that's her friend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think of the people right now?
What do you mean? What do I think of the people right now?
Of the Salt Lake City. For me, Matt.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet.
I'm Matt. Matt trying to come for China, like, that was out of line, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, if you've seen my Twitter, if you've seen my poll on whether or not Sarah was trying to like poach some clients.
Okay.
So check out my poll.
I'll check it out. Once I watch the episode, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the last video I put on YouTube, I had to move to Patreon,
Mm-hmm.
So
Good.
overall, I'm liking Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City is the A show.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with Miss T. This has been such a good season for Salt Lake. I agree. It's been good. It's been interesting. It is a good season. And you know why I think it's a good season? I think that all of the women have something going on. Maybe not something huge and catastrophic, but they have something brewing, something going on. Even if it's like not the most drama, that's okay, but they're all interesting. Whether you like them or not like them, there's something interesting that they're all doing.
Yeah, everybody is activated. Everybody's doing their thing.
100%.
Even Meredith, who. And did you see Mazel this week?
Finally.
I mean, it's about
finally making an appearance. It's about time. I wonder if we're gonna see more of her in the upcoming episodes. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Yeah.
Maybe it's because of what she did, on the Facebook. Maybe that's why they have,
Wait, what did she do on Facebook?
her, supporting those comments. It's on, it's on social media. It's
Okay.
pretty problematic.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Let's see. Orange Blossom says Angie read Bronwyn and Britney to filth this episode, not the high body count dress. I know, but I still,
Yeah,
I don't know. I still felt bad for Brit. I do think she was slut. I do think she was slut shamed. Hey, Adam.
Hi. Well. Is it not the good old MVP Lisa Barlow's show?
Yes, it is. All right, sound off, sweetheart.
Okay, I haven't watched all of it just because today has just been a crazy one, but from just watching the clips on Instagram of the other part of the show that I missed, Angie, as Freddie and I call her, Angie backstabbing ass, because she is someone who is a backstabber.
Exactly.
She is someone who you can trust as much as you can trust Lisa Renner not telling a single word that you told her. Like, in fact, I'd actually even trust Lisa Renner more than this backstabbing us, and that's saying something.
Really?
Yeah. I don't like the I don't like her ways that she goes about things, but this might be a controversial opinion, but other than Lisa Barlow and Meredith, I'm not really loving the cast. I just think there's just something missing. Like, there isn't that same synergy that they had back when Jen Shah was on the show. And
Why?
to me, I just don't kind of feel it. It kind of, to me, this Bronwyn, I had high hopes, but to me, it's just very performative. You want to have, it seems like she wants to have an issue with everyone. Originally, my hypothesis was she will be good with Lisa Barlow and Meredith and kind of not be someone who is just, excuse the French, a shit stirrer. But I just don't find it that fun as it has been in other seasons. I'm glad that Lisa Barlow is next to Andy, but as much as I don't like Angie's behavior and the way that she kind of goes against people, I mean, she seems to have something against Meredith for ever. I don't know, like, even if it was like season 56, she would still be against Meredith for some reason. I kind of wish this season is a short season with Salt Lake City, and I mean that with the best respect because I love Lisa Barlow. I think she's the best housewife in the last 10 years on any franchise. She keeps it 100. And I think for me, I just want the cast to be more dynamic with each other, not this performative, and not going to give credit to the YouTuber's name, but the YouTuber with no opinion, with his whole thing with Whitney back then, like, that was something I didn't really want to see on national television or on Hey You or Peacock, whatever you watch it on. I just kind of think, to me, I want that kind of Lisa Barlow gravitas season. I just don't. This show for me, hands down, is the Lisa Barlow show, but I want someone to at least give me some of her energy on another level. And I'm glad that the best thing on this picture you're showing me is that Heather Gay's boring cousin is on the end. That's the best. That's the second best thing after being next to Andy. I mean, Lisa should be next to Andy no matter what, in my opinion.
She should.
And the other thing that is beyond, and I want to see if Candy has a reason on why they did this.
Okay.
Is why on earth is Angie Center Snowflake? She is not her show. She's not an OG. Like, to me, I don't know if Bravo producers love her for some reason, but to me, she's not a likable person.
I mean, she's Center Snowflake. She's sitting next to Andy. My only guess is she's really, as much as I don't like Bronwyn, I think she did make a valid point about Angie this episode. Angie really, and like I said before, Angie plays like, oh, I'm just some doormat wallflower, but she is actually the one who is bringing drama and stirring the pot and doing the absolute most, like bringing the scroll to Meredith, kicking the table at Lisa Barlow, saying F you, F you, F you to Bronwyn at the little, outside gathering, now slut shaming and reading Britney for filth and beefing with Lisa, and now being best friends with Mary, beefing with Meredith. And so I think that Angie is a snake. She plays like she's so innocent, but she talks crap about everybody, and she's kind of put her little tentacles in everybody's stuff, but she plays so innocent. So I think that has kind of bumped her up. I think producers usually are, not to be mean to the producers, I don't mean this in a mean way, but the producers don't really get it. Do you know what I mean? They have their favorites, they have their plants, they sort of drink the Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? They don't really see it as objectively as, at least me and the candy cans. I think, to toot my own horn, I think my viewers and my candy canes are the smartest viewers, and we see people for who they are. We see the manipulation, we see the different dynamics, but a lot of times the producers don't. Look at how their favorites forever, Giselle and Kyle, and the list goes on and on. So I think that's part of it. And then I also think we have to see what happens in season for the upcoming episodes too. Like, I really want to know what happens on this trip. I really want to know what happens with the Monica stuff, what happens with the recorder, what happens on this trip. I think is really informing this seating chart. I think the second half of the show is what we're seeing on the seating chart, not necessarily the first half, if that makes sense. So I really want to see what happens with that. And then also, if Lisa's going to be first, the person that she had the most beef with was Angie, because Whitney's like a non-factor. Her whole stuff got debunked, trying to lie on Lisa about all that stuff. She basically got called out as a liar. And so that really fell flat and blew up in her face, and she got exposed. And Whitney doesn't have anything else going on to justify her being across from Lisa if Lisa is first. So I think if you're looking at it from that perspective too, Angie makes sense to be across from her, because she has the most beef with her all season. And then that's why Heather
I
is
agree with the
next
season
to
chart.
her.
I agree with the season chart, but it's just I was just really shocked with kind of the opening, because with like the other franchises that you see, it was always Kyle and Lisa Vanderpump in the center. You had Nene and like do you know what I mean? Like the historic ones. And I just thought, for someone who wasn't from the beginning, to not give it to, they used to always put Heather, which I thought was silly, instead of Lisa. But I was just shocked not to see Lisa or Heather as the center person.
Yeah. Hey, Emmanuel, you want to share, sweetheart?
Hey everyone, how y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Okay, so this was a really good episode. I thought it was just chaotic, like in a good way, in an entertaining way. It's just definitely Salt Lake City, I think, is probably top tier when it comes to the franchises. I think we can all kind of agree on that. But I gotta say, yesterday's episode really changed my perspective on Bronwyn, because I've actually been somebody who...
Come to the right side.
Right, exactly. Because I'm gonna be totally honest with you guys.
The water's fine. Come on over. All right, let me stop.
No, because let me tell you, I was riding with her when she was going at it with Lisa and with Heather. I was kind of like, why are they going so hard on Bronwyn? Like, what is it? But then yesterday, when I think it was a little bit more clear how she does like to be very messy. And I think what did it for me was when she kind of told Angie what Britney had just said to her, because I actually thought they were kind of bonding for a moment. But then when I saw her turn around and throw Britney under the bus, I was like, oh yeah, there's something wrong with Bronwyn for sure. When it comes to Angie, I actually like Angie. The only thing I don't like about her is that I agree with what Britney said in the episode. I do think Angie says things for shock value. And I think the problem with Angie is she's not that good at like reading someone down, if that makes sense. She kind of goes a little too low. Like with the hearing aid thing that she said last week, I thought that was really, really low. Um, Even like calling Britney the S word, I think she kind of, I don't know, she kind of goes a little bit too nasty, if that makes sense. Um, but this seating chart doesn't surprise me. Like you said, the second half will probably give us much more insight as to why that is. If I'm not mistaken, I think I recall in the trailer, like the mid-season trailer, isn't there like a scene where Angie is throwing an object at Lisa,
Yeah.
like
Oh, like
physically throwing something?
a glass or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's doing the most. But I wanted to ask you, did you talk about the drama? I don't know if this drama, but like what was going on Twitter where Mary said, or I think it was Watch What Happens Live. She said that Lisa was the only one who didn't reach out to her after the episode.
I didn't see that, but I'm not surprised.
I
Like,
did.
like Mary has gone for Lisa's neck forever and ever and ever and ever.
Right.
So it always, it's very similar to Beverly Hills with Dorit situation. You know what I mean? Where it's like you have beef with people, you're not nice to them, but then when you go through crisis, you wonder why they don't reach out to you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Dorit's going through a separate speak with BK, and she's like, no one reached out. Well, why would they reach out when you're beefing and you're nasty? Like Garcelle was like, I didn't reach out to Dorit because I would feel like a hypocrite. Like we're beefing and then now I'm reaching out to you. Like that feels weird. So like I get why Lisa wouldn't reach out to Mary. She might feel like it's not even wanted or warranted. And also with Mary, and I like Mary a lot more this season because I do think she's warmed up. I think she's a lot more open. I know people like how she shades people, but I think she can be really mean. I think sometimes she cuts to the white meat, to the bone. And it's just like, oh, Mary being Mary. I don't to me it's very toxic somehow, or sometimes the way she says things to people, I think it's very mean. And so I think that some people feel like, well, if you're that mean to me, then like you're not going to want me to reach out to you anyway because you don't even like me.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Absolutely.
how Lisa could feel that way with Mary because
Wait,
didn't Mary tell Lisa to like shut up and all this other stuff when they
well,
had
she
their little
also
powwows?
allegedly
Yes.
said that her child was something beginning with R.
Oh yeah,
Oh
that
wait,
was
what?
a rumor. There was a
He did.
rumor that during filming, Mary Cosby called Lisa's youngest son the R slur.
Oh, I remember that. I believe that. Because Mary's mouth is reckless.
Yeah.
She called
Yeah.
Heather inbred and how she said everything. I believe it.
But to go for someone's child, like on,
Mhm.
I mean, like to me, I was like really taken aback by that. I was just like, her mouth is reckless, but
Her mouth is
I,
reckless.
I wasn't expecting you to go against someone's kid, like
Especially with what her own child is dealing with, you know?
Exactly, and like to me, kind of give energy that you want to be treated by, and like I think we agree or disagree with the Dorit thing with Kyle, but with this to actually go to the levels of
Yeah.
using that slur against a child,
A
like
minor, yeah.
I mean, I like Mary. I feel like if I had to give my top three of the cast on this show, it would probably be Lisa, Meredith, and Mary.
Mm-hmm.
But and I feel that kind of because they're like I like how Lisa has kept it 100. There's times where Meredith this season I like her, but she's been a bit confusing. But with Mary, like as a human being, you feel sorry what she's going through. But the way that she went after Lisa for Lisa not to reach out is justified. Personally, that's how I view it.
Yeah, well, according to the rumors, this is how they say it went down. Because if you guys remember, the things about Mary's son had already been sort of put out there on the internet a while ago. So at the time of filming, they're saying Lisa asked Mary about it. And that's where Mary kind of went off on her and called her son the R word. And they said they were going to show it, but I'm hearing that they decided to scrap it off the season.
I wonder why though.
Why they scrapped it off?
Yeah.
I think they probably scrapped it off because they got that conversation between Mary and her son and how gut-wrenching and raw that was, that I think it probably would have taken the season to a totally different level if they would have kept it. And I actually think they did the right thing by editing that out, because I think it would have went to a really dark place if they would have kept it.
Yes.
If they would have kept a beef between Mary and Lisa over comments or questions about her son, and then they have that conversation where the son is being about how, like, he basically was trying to no longer be here and all of that stuff in his troubles and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would have been an uproar. I actually agree with that editorial decision to take that out.
All right, gotta go.
All right, love you, Tay. Bye.
Bye.
So yeah, but the thing is, it seems like Lisa just asked about Mary's son, and Mary, being Mary, went all the way to like her neck just for asking a question because she doesn't like Lisa. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I agree with
I
Lisa.
agree.
It's like, well, if I asked you about your child and then you turned around and called my child the R word, why would I then reach out about your child again? You know?
I mean, 100. Like, you know, one plus one does not equal 3. Like, that's just like to me, like that. It's just facts. Like, you can't expect that.
Right.
I mean, one thing is, I saw like loads of people say throughout this season how this season wants to kind of have that backstory, like how it did in season 1, 2 with Jen Shah. I would say this season, I like Lisa Barlow, as I said, one of the most realist, probably the best in the last 10 years at least out of all the franchises. But there's just something missing with the other cast's energy. I want to see kind of that Lisa Barlow, Kenya Moore, Phaedra, Sutton Strack energy. Like, and I just don't think anyone else on this franchise really gives it at Lisa's caliber. I'm not saying they have to be a clone of her and do everything she does and obey her or whatever. I don't want Lisa Barlow. You know how you were saying earlier, Candy, that either people were trying to be Lisa Barlow's best friend and then they kind of like shapeshift and go a different direction. I.e., someone like Whitney. Like I don't want that. I want like someone to actually kind of give that, like, it's just how Sutton Strack can kind of get her ground against Erica, just like how you had Kenya and Phaedra. I just think that
you want someone that Lisa can spar with.
It just doesn't get ugly. Angie just makes it ugly.
But a fun sparring.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
That you summed that up for me. Like, to put it in simple, to put it in English words instead of my complicated British words. But what do you think? Do you agree or?
I agree. I think it's a good season and I'm definitely enjoying it, but I do think that there is some flavor missing, some spark missing. There's one element that is missing. I agree with that. Like, there is some personality type or some archetype that's missing. However, I'm still enjoying this season and I'm still enjoying the ladies and I still like it. I still think it's a good season. I think that happens though, you know, each season can't be the best season. And I think they're still trying to get their footing and seeing who can come in. I think that Britney, maybe if they cast a different person for Britney, maybe there would be a different flavor to it. But yeah, there is something missing, but it's not as bad as like a New York.
Oh God,
But it's not at yeah, and I
York
would even say with Beverly, I feel like the Housewives in general. I feel like this season of the Housewives of Beverly Hills, I think it's good, but even with them, the sheen isn't there. Like there is still a spark missing. But I will say, I love how I don't know if it's a new production team or they got better cameras or better cinematographers, but I'm loving how they're shooting everything. Everything looks bright and luxurious and cool and clean. So I'm loving like how they're shooting everything. Like Salt Lake City looks beautiful. Beverly Hills looks beautiful the way they're shooting everything. Even Potomac, they're doing a great job. So from an aesthetic standpoint, I think they're doing a really good job. And New York too, you know, with the glam and the luxury. But when it comes to the women, there's something that's not there, but maybe that will just happen in time with new people over time.
Salt Lake City has the same production company, surprisingly, as New York, but now the fake New York. So
yeah.
So who would you say, other than Lisa Barlow, is in your top 3?
Meredith. I love Lisa and I love Meredith. They're OGs and I absolutely love their friendship. I love when they're together. And I would have to say, might be an unpopular opinion, but Heather. I like the 3 of them. I like when they're friends. I like when they're having fun. I like Lisa, Meredith, and Heather. I do.
Interesting. Yeah, I would say Heather would be my 4th. I like the when it's not dark and not a child. Overall, I would say Mary would be my 3rd. But
yeah,
NYC
is bad. All right, you guys, we're gonna do final thoughts before we wrap it up. So, Emmanuel, you go first, and then you, Adam.
Yeah, so overall, I would just say, like you have both said, it's been a great season. Definitely, I don't think there's been a single episode that's been like boring or like even a filler episode. It's just been great. I will say, when y'all give y'all final thoughts, I'm wondering what are y'all thinking about Britney? Because last night I was kind of thinking, maybe we should give her a second season because I feel like she has contributed. She's a little obviously she's very delusional and kind of crazy, but I do feel like she's given quite a bit this season, considering she is a friend. It was nice to see Meredith a little bit more back in action because she had kind of been, not really in a lot of episodes doing much. Yeah, and it was interesting to see Maylee there. I wonder if we'll see her more in the second half because I still don't really understand why she got a cast picture. Like I don't think we've ever even heard her talk. But yeah, overall, it's I really enjoyed it.
Agreed. Go, Adam.
Sorry, I just find it hysterical that your Maylee picture is so super small. I actually keep forgetting that she's part of the show, the Maylee person. So it was interesting to see her. I was like, oh, is she you? But I would say this season so far has been entertaining, but not quite a 9 or 10. So far, likewise to this episode, I'll give it 8.5. And other than what I've said about Lisa being my fave, I kind of think Angie needs to stay in her lane. And with Emmanuel's question, with Britney, I think the energy she gave this episode was probably the best she's ever given of the whole season so far. But I don't think so. I just find her confusing. I don't know if I would promote her to a main housewife.
I would say I'm enjoying this season for sure. Again, it's not the best in the world, but I am really enjoying it. I really am. And then when it comes to Britney, I would keep her on. Maybe not full. I mean, she's giving a lot. Um, and you know what the thing I do like about Britney is that at least she's good comic relief because she is a mess. Her life is a train wreck. She is a mess. It's kind of nice to have someone who isn't messy, but is an actual mess. And she has comic relief. So I kind of like her in that role, I would say. Oh, but that's that. All right, you guys, this has been so much fun. Shout out to my beautiful panelists. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you, Tay Tay. This has been so much fun. Shout out to everybody in the chat box. Haley, SW, Miss T, Orange Blossom, Holly, my sweet girl Holly. How are you? Heather, what is up? Coffee or tea? Who else? I don't want to miss anybody. Hey, Emmanuel. Hey, Tay Tay. Hey, Barbara. Hey, Adam. Hey, Reality Connoisseur. All right, I hope I got everybody. Hey, Travis, that's right. Hey, how are you? Okay. If I missed you, I apologize. So with that, you guys, as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And I will see you guys next time. Have a really good Friday and weekend. And yeah, love you guys. Oh, Emmanuel says, I forgot to tell you, Candy, I DM'd Jared Osman and he told me Bronwyn is a horrible person. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Yes. SW says, have a good evening. You too, sweetheart. Mwah, mwah. Thank you, Miss T, for being my mod. I love you and appreciate you. All right, you guys. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.